Again, proven technology or the lack thereof. I mean, there was a period in time with wind where a wind turbine could not be purchased. In the 2005 through 2007 period, a developer, an experienced developer like Canon, could not find a wind turbine to be purchased. And if we knocked on someone's door and they answered, the sort of asking price, you know, was nosebleed. So we were actually blocked out. We were blocked out of the market. Our 400 megawatt project to date, which is one of the largest wind projects in the world, was put on ice basically for 2 years. Actually worked out well. Policy changes. We're able to actually expand the size of our facility and whatnot. But you know, it's just a difficult path to make when you know the idea is you know you start with some entitlements, but that project and the burdens that go with that project are ever increasing while you either navigate the valley of death, or what I like to use as our metaphor is a brick wall without any mortar, and every brick is important. You can have 9.5 bricks, that wall falls. You need 10 perfect bricks. This is what it feels like to get across the valley of death. It's not this, it's this. It's a constant struggle, but the whole point is, you know, there's an attraction, I guess, in that struggle, and that, you know, things happen. I mean, Tom mentioned Christmas being a hectic time with these expiration dates, which always occur and coincide with a calendar end date. And I can't tell you when I've had a pleasant sort of New Year's Eve. It's been destroyed by the renewable energy sector. And I guess I'm a glutton. Our whole team is a glutton. But, you know, we would strongly benefit as a country with a long-term commitment to renewable energy. Other countries have done it. The United States, for a whole bunch of reasons, political, et cetera, has chosen a different path. Unfortunate, has made it even more challenging. And sort of put more of a burden on being boring. That is keeping your operating cash flow or burn rate low. You know, trying to obtain as many contracts as possible, whether it be a long-term PPA, a long-term REC agreement, a future carbon credit revenue stream, lining those up. So that when the hour of financing comes around, that's not a question and big hole that you need to finance. It should be as smooth as crossing this beautiful piece of physics, but it's not. This is a chart you may have seen from time to time, and it's got a lot of different aspects to it. I'll quickly go through it real quick. Time. We're going from left to right. Idea, find a site, start working with a certain technology, all the way to completing the project, operating it, and maintaining it. Typically here, you'll have some seed capital or some sort of very motivated and patient to a point type investors. At the sort of flip side, you'll have folks that are more cold-blooded and want to see execution and want to see all your contracts signed, all your permitting done, no shortcuts. Shortcuts come back to kill you. And a $400 million project with a Achilles heel will just disappear. And that's kind of heartbreaking, too, with respect to renewable energy. It's very hard to salvage a renewable energy project if you took a shortcut at the commencement. For instance, your environmental. I talk to a lot of solar developers who, always recommend Canon to get into the renewable energy business by developing some solar projects. And we actually have invested 3 years of nothing into solar. But we're super excited about it, but it's super challenging as well. But, and they talk about environmental, and they talk about financing as if it's just a phone call and a study there. And we've just, as just renewable energy developers, and thankfully we've retained the talent and the commitment to the space. We fully understand what it means to permit, to litigate, to structure, and to have a lot of answers, address a lot of questions that may not be asked, but if and when they are, you're prepared, you're boring. Here's where I guess folks sort of, either make it across this valley or sort of build those 10 bricks so you can build that wall without any mortar. And the challenge is time. Time's always our worst enemy. Time kills. Time kills for expensive projects. Remember, most of the capital is up front. And, development can start pretty low. You can spend 50, 100 grand, $1 million, and typically our sort of upfront investment over time in a project is around $1 or $2 million. But a 100 megawatt wind project is $200 million. So, you've got to get to that end game really quickly. Otherwise, your returns and investor confidence starts to disappear. Every project is risky. I mean, it's basically infinity here. But over time, you reduce that risk through your permitting and going through that process. In the case of wind and solar, interconnection and going through the various studies. I mean, quite frankly, if you were trying to interconnect a project today in California, you'll be told that there's a queue that exceeds our 33% RPS goal by 2020. So that could be a signal to someone to say, why bother? It's already been oversubscribed. The reality is most of those projects will never come online because most of them are probably flawed. Unfortunately, we, and when I say we, it's more of the global we, the projects that do come online have to navigate through that technical process and just stay the course, even though sort of on the face of it, it's overbooked, it's oversubscribed. The same goes for PPAs. California, is a great state, has done a great job of, pushing ahead on renewable energy, regardless of what Washington does, and that's been super exciting. But the IOUs have signed up a significant number of power contracts to the point where they really don't need to sign any more. But the reality is, an overwhelming majority of those projects never reach the finish line. So they'll be actively pursuing. They're actually, to keep it boring, they've made my life boring. This weekend I'll be plugging through a couple of 250 megawatt, 250 page solicitations from the IOUs who have sort of, I think over the past 24 months, not issued a solicitation. So that's my Memorial Day weekend activity and fun. So over time, you're reducing the risk profile of your project. You've gotten your permitting entitlements. You've gotten your PPA. You have done some preliminary engineering, et cetera, which, on the flip side, is increasing the value of your project, which is your reward. At the very early outset, it's an idea, and there's some costs. So this could even be negative. There is no reward. It's money out and a hope and a prayer that you hold on to. And so you want this inversion to occur. And that typically occurs when you're on the doorsteps of project financing. Now that is if you're truly project finance ready. And advisors that have done it before, that's key too. There are tons of good law firms out there that have good corporate expertise, but you need firms that have renewable energy expertise, because the laws, the IRS, the policies consistently change, and you need firms that are sort of deep in lots of other projects. Hence, you benefit as being one of their clients.